Straight to the big development from politics in West Bengal. The Supreme Court today directed Kolkata's Police Commissioner Rajiv Kumar to cooperate with the CBI in its probe into the Sharda scam. This even as it restrained the CBI from taking any coercive action against Kumar. The CBI had moved court against the West Bengal government following an unprecedented showdown between CBI officials and the Kolkata police on Sunday. Ashmit Kumar joins us now. Ashmit, what are the key developments today?
Right, so after the midnight pot boiler on Sunday, the two sides today crossed swords before the Apex Court, before Chief Justice Gogoi. Now, the Attorney General began the arguments. He did so by pointing out that the call records, the data that have been made available to the CBI are incomplete, is not sufficient. Also going on to the extent of saying that there has been utter non-cooperation, that amounts to contempt of court, given as how the Supreme Court was the one that had directed the investigation, and then further seeking a contempt notice to be issued, not just against Rajiv Kumar, but also against the state of West Bengal. Now, this position was rebutted by the counsel, Abhishek Manu Singhvi, appearing for the state of West Bengal. He said that this is nothing but an attempt to embarrass, to harass and to humiliate the parties involved, and going on to say that this is a case where there has been total cooperation as sought by the CBI. Now, on the back of this, the Apex Court has, number one, issued a direction for Rajiv Kapoor to submit himself to the investigation that is being conducted by the CBI. However, the catch here is that the Apex Court has protected Rajiv Kumar to the extent that, number one, no coercive action can take place, which effectively means that he cannot be arrested, and further saying that this round of questioning will take place in a neutral location. Shillong is one example that has been suggested. On the other hand, which is the second takeaway as far as today's order is concerned, the Apex Court has provided that as far as contempt notice is concerned, it has now been issued to not just Rajiv Kumar but also to the DGP as well as to the Chief Secretary for the state of West Bengal. They have to file their reply by February 20th, and that's not all. They have to appear in person at the date of the next hearing, which is February 20th. So clearly, the last word is yet to be had. February 20th perhaps holds the key to the way forward. Back to you.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Ashmit. But hang on, I will come to you in just a bit. But meanwhile, both the West Bengal government and the centre has claimed moral victory over the Apex Court order. West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee, whose protest against the centre entered its third day today, asserted that her government respects the judiciary and clarified that Rajiv Kumar had never refused to cooperate with the CBI probe. Law Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad, meanwhile, asserted that the Supreme Court order is a vindication for the CBI.
It's a moral victory. Why it's a victory? We said we have a great respect for the judiciary and the media and all the institutions. Yes, Rajiv Kumar never said that I will not be available. He said letters, he has given 5 letters. He said we want to meet at mutual place. If you want to ask any clarification, you can come. We don't interfere in other business. If you see that central agencies are coming to arrest the state agencies without the state government consultation and vindictively, don't you think the law and order machinery, it is with the state government and it will violate the constitutional obligation, it will disturb the constitutional, it is already disordered, the constitution, it's a constitutional breakdown.
Lakhs of small investors were cheated and looted of their money. Is it not our moral obligation for fair investigation? Why is Mamata ji silent on this? But today, this investigation must be done in a fair manner. Let us not politicize it. Today is a great moral victory of the CBI. We welcome this order and we hope that all those who have looted and cheated small investors' money in these scams will be brought to book.
Now let's go back to Ashmit. Ashmit, you're still with us. Now, the Supreme Court has accused the centre of coming up with excuses to delay the process of drawing up a citizens list in Assam. This even as it indicated that the NRC process cannot be suspended during the Lok Sabha election. So what are you picking up on that front?
It seems the government is bent on destroying the NRC process. Those were the words that fell from the Chief Justice Gogoi as a part of today's NRC hearing. Now, keep in mind that those words came on the back of the centre's demand, centre's request rather, before the Apex Court that the NRC process should be suspended in light of the upcoming general elections. The rationale that has been expressed by the centre is that the central armed police forces that have been deployed are required elsewhere for general election duties. The centre also went on to argue that there would be heightened tensions in light of how this is a politically charged atmosphere at the time of general elections, and perhaps it's not wise to conduct the NRC hearings on the claims and objections that have been raised. Now, what's important here is that what fell, the observations that came in response, the Chief Justice hearing this case said that it appears that the centre is bent on destroying the process. In fact, it went a step further and said that there have been a number of stories and excuses that have been offered, also going on to the extent of saying that if required, the Apex Court will also summon the Home Secretary, given as how there have been various hurdles that have been cited. In fact, the Apex Court also said that if this NRC process is to be completed, there are 1,001 ways to do it, and there are very many other excuses that have been cited by the centre. On the back of that, the centre, as of today, has reaffirmed the July 31st deadline. There's no budging from that, has also refused to grant more time to the centre, and has said that the NRC process will run simultaneously, will run in parallel to the general elections, and that both are critically important to the country. Towards that end, the Supreme Court has also directed the Election Commission to consider releasing a few officers which might be used for the NRC process, given as how the Supreme Court believes that this is a critical step forward as far as the Assam and the issue of NRC is concerned. And on the back of that, the Apex Court slamming the centre, but yet staying firm on its deadline of July 31st for completing the NRC process. Back to you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for those details, Ashmit. Now, moving on, with the fiscal year drawing to a close in 50-odd days, the government is stepping on the gas to shore up the coffers. Now, the centre is pegging a GST revenue shortfall of 1 lakh crore rupees this fiscal. And in a move that will set a precedent, centre has used 29,000 crore rupees surplus from compensation cess to bridge some of this gap. Now, a roadmap for dividend from the RBI and others for FY20 has also been chalked out. Sapna Das is here with more details. Sapna, so what's the revenue math like?
Well, starting off first with the GST issue that you have raised, and rightly so, we are given to understand, if you look at the budget documents, the revised estimates for FY19 as far as the CGST collections are concerned, they have been lowered by 1 lakh crores. But if you look at the side of the revenue shortfall, that's been indicated around 23,000 crores. So what basically has gone into it is that the centre for the first time has utilized the unused compensation cess kitty to the tune of 29,000 crores to basically bring this gap down. So the gap hasn't brought down to that extent. The remaining money, they have raised the targets for direct taxes, and hence the overall revenue shortfall, despite a 1 lakh crore gap in CGST collections for this financial year, that gap has now come down to 23,000 crores, which is being taken care of by the by other ways within the budget. It's a big number that we're talking about. But then this may set the precedent in future as well. You see, the law had been amended last year itself in August 2018, I suppose, in the monsoon session, where any unutilized money lying in the compensation cess pool was to be divided equally 50-50 between the centre and the states anytime during the year. Earlier, the provision was after 5 years. So that's one big thing to watch out for. I mean, that's a new precedent to talk about. And not just this, despite this and the settlements happening in terms of the compensation payouts going to the states, the centre probably still expects to close the financial year with some kind of a surplus in this compensation cess kitty. So that's the story on that side. Very quickly on the RBI dividend side, and much has been written about it. So we're clearly given to understand that tentatively around 27 to 28,000 crores is what the interim dividend for FY19 has been raised, or rather government is expecting that to come through from the regulator. But having said that, if you look at the numbers broadly, 40,000 crores is what the government has already received from Reserve Bank of India as a dividend for FY19, and the target, I suppose, was around 68,000 crores. So probably that number takes care of this bridging that we are talking about. It's 28,000 crores may come in through there. I think interestingly enough, the point here also is that the government believes that probably the surplus amount that was transferred in the earlier years, 1 or 2 financial years by RBI, probably that has not been up to the centre's expectations, up to the government's expectations. So probably that is also something that is likely to play out in the next couple of months.
All right, Sapna, thank you so much for those details. It was yet another choppy session on Dalal Street with key indices moving in a tight range. So let's bring those charts up for you. The Sensex and the Nifty ended with minor gains as investors remain cautious ahead of the RBI policy on Thursday. The Nifty was up by 22 points and the Sensex was up by 34 points. The mid-cap stocks underperformed and that index ended with a loss of 130 points. The Bank Nifty saw support from a select stocks to end with gains of about 85 points. On to a CNBC TV18 exclusive. Jubilant Food, the owner of the Domino's franchise in India, is considering royalty payment to its promoter group for the use of the Jubilant brand. Now, the payment structure being discussed is approximately 0.5% of the sales value. On FY18 sales, the royalty to promoters works out to be around 15 crore rupees. Jubilant Foodworks operates Domino's Pizza in India, and the promoter group of Jubilant Bhartiya told CNBC TV18 that it would not be able to comment on the story at this point in time. The Bhartiya family holds about 45% of Jubilant Foodworks. Alliances will define the upcoming elections in 2019, says renowned economist and author Ruchir Sharma. Speaking about his upcoming book titled Democracy on the Road, Sharma says he does not expect the BJP's vote share to slip by a big margin, even though he predicts the SP-BSP alliance to make a splash in Uttar Pradesh. CNBC TV18 Shireen Ban hit the road with Ruchir Sharma across rural Uttar Pradesh to discuss the upcoming elections and find out why he believes that alliances always tend to prevail against a powerful leader. Take a look.
I really feel that the defining feature of this election is going to be alliances, which is that if you look at the 2014 election, what happened then was, as we well know, that the BJP got 31% of the vote share. But the number of seats it got was 9 times more in terms of like over 280. That ratio was unparalleled in Indian political history, that you never had an instance where a party with 31% of the vote share managed to get more than half the seats in the Lok Sabha. And that happened because the opposition was very badly divided in the key battleground states. I think that in this election, what's going to really matter is that. I don't think the BJP's vote share as such is going to go down too much. Maybe the BJP's vote share will go down a bit in the Hindi heartland area. It may make up a bit in the eastern parts of the country and other parts, maybe. But or it may go down even a bit. But I think that the big thing in this election is going to be about the alliances which are being formed in key battleground states from UP, where we are, right up to Maharashtra. And I think that that's what's really going to define this election more than, I'd say, like this entire debate. In Delhi, we love having these debates about, how is Modi doing and sort of, like how's the budget and how much of sort of anger there is against the government and things. All those, I think, are factors, but the really big factor is going to be how many alliances are stitched, because that's the short history of Indian democracy, that whenever alliances are stitched against a very powerful leader at the center, from Indira Gandhi to Rajiv Gandhi to Vajpayee, typically the alliances tend to prevail. But if the alliances don't come together, then I think that Modi has a pretty good chance of coming back. I think it's as simple as that.
Speaking of alliances, and for the very first time here in UP, which is, as the cliche, the road to Delhi is via UP, Samajwadi Party and the BSP getting together, and, Mayawati's political karma bhumi is Bijnor in a sense as well. How significant is that going to be? And the fact that the Congress is outside of that, do you think that that is actually going to work to the advantage of this alliance?
I think, as far as the state is concerned, just the plain math suggests that the alliance is going to be very strong. So in fact, when I came to write the closing chapter of my book on Bijnor late last year, I went back and told our travel companions that I don't think there's any point going to UP this time. At that point in time, it wasn't clear if the alliance would come through or not. But the basic analysis was that if the alliance comes through, then the state basically goes towards the alliance. If the alliance doesn't come through, it goes to the BJP. So I think that as far as this state is concerned, and all the opinion polls, it's hard to trust them at this stage, but for whatever it's worth, seem to confirm that. So I don't think in this election, UP is going to be that important a state, because I think that the vote bases are very entrenched and the mind has been made up. And so I think that this state, the alliance has a clear advantage. I think what's going to determine this election much more are going to be the other states, including the fact that how much does the BJP sort of lose because of the way it's swept.
In 2014.
Exactly, like all the states from right up from Gujarat to Bihar, how much of those, what it does there. And then some key states like, I don't know what's really going to happen in Andhra Pradesh in terms of, like who prevails there. I think Maharashtra, the alliance is going to matter more. So my dream election trip for the 28th election trip for what is being billed as arguably the biggest election in democratic history, I think should be that we should basically travel coast to coast, which is to start from Mumbai and go to Visakhapatnam, because I think that belt from Maharashtra, northern Karnataka, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh could be very critical.
And you can catch that full interview with Ruchi Sharma in a special episode at 7 p.m. right here on CNBC TV 18. In the run-up to the Maharashtra elections, the redevelopment of Asia's second largest slum, Dharavi, is back in the spotlight, while Dubai-based Settling Group has emerged as the front-runner after multiple bid extensions due to weak demand. CNBC TV 18's Kevin Lee reports that it's not going to be an easy task.
Despite 3 attempts over the last 15 years, the redevelopment of one of Mumbai's most infamous slums, Dharavi, has failed to take off. With the government incentivizing builders to come forward and take up this ambitious project, we are going to explain why it's unlikely that the redevelopment project will be successful even the 4th time around.
Spread over 2 square kilometers in the heart of Mumbai and home to close to 1 million people, Dharavi has a population density of over 8 lakh people per square mile, as compared to the national average of 54,000. But it's not just the scale of the project that has caused builders to stay away.
Dharavi is not an ordinary slum. It is actually a city within a city. It's a beautiful place. It has industry, it has commercial, it has residential, it has schools, it has colleges, it has every conceivable thing within the city. So Dharavi is actually a complete redevelopment, not of a slum, but of an entire city.
While the new redevelopment plan highlights that the salt pan lands of Vadala be used as transit camps for residents, it is largely silent on where the shops will be shifted in the interim. What's more, the approval of the central government is needed before the salt pan lands can be used for housing purposes. Another problem that prospective developers are likely to face are the height restrictions on new constructions in the area, given its proximity to the airport. That said, people involved with the project since its inception feel that builders can still look at making handsome profits from the redevelopment.
Builders are there for money, not just altruistic thought process. And my analysis, my company's analysis based on strategies and plans that we have prepared, our understanding is that there's minimum 70,000 crores of profit for the developer, and that's based on present market prices. I expect the market at some point to start rising. The profits could go as high as 100,000, 1 lakh crores or more.
But even with the promise of money and incentives from the state government, builders are not convinced, and the timing of the announcement has done little to allay their fears.
The elections are too close by and maybe looked at as a political intent to really create publicity for themselves. But I think whatever may be the reason, good or bad, in a period of time for the purposes of Dharavi's size of development, you're going to see various elections takes place, and it's not a 1 or 2 or 3 year project. It's going to be a 10 to 20 year project by the time the entire project is completed.
Certainly, from Godrej Properties end, we would be interested. I think the government does need to again look at how to make the project feasible, how to give the private sector comfort that the very complicated regulatory environment that would surround a project with that many residents already there, with that many government departments involved. I think the government needs to assure the private sector that its concerns around some of these areas would be taken into consideration.
All in all, things don't look good for this grand redevelopment project, even the 4th time around. In Mumbai, Kevin Lee.
With that, it is a wrap on this edition of Reporter's Diary. Many thanks for watching, but stay tuned to CNBC TV 18. Coming up next is Markets Today Talkback.